welcome everyone. As people are entering in, we welcome people from Los Angeles, welcome people from Chicago, all parts of the United States, as well as people from Singapore, Jakarta, Nairobi, and Malaysia. And today I am just honored to have two wonderful people, wonderful friends, Albert Tate and Kevin. Kevin, how do you best pronounce your last name so I don't butcher it?
Sure, you can say Olusola.
Olusola.
Yeah.
Got it. And so, hey, I just wanted to thank you for all of our partners as we enter into this discussion. I just want to thank some of our partners that made this possible. From Los Angeles, our friends over at Dustin Lang over at Revival LA, Karen Cavell over at Hollywood Prayer Network, Steve Engage over at Center for Faith and Work Los Angeles, as well as our friends over at Renew Chicago and also Pro 22 in Chicago as well too. And so with that said, I am going to turn this over to Albert Tate. Albert?
Well, thank you so much, Tommy. You're an amazing leader. You run a great program, and the stuff that you do, the networking you do, not just across the country, but across the world. Did y'all hear these countries we got hanging out with us? So thank you guys from all across the world. Speaking of the world, we got our man, Kevin, who's a world-class musician, world-class artist, and we get to hang out a little bit tonight. Kev, what's up, bro?
Man, I am excited for this. I have been waiting for this for a long time because you and I were supposed to hang out earlier this year, and then Auntie Rona came through.
I know, right?
Messed up everything for everybody. But man, I'm excited that we get to hang out like this.
Well, the cool thing is, last time we talked, you were so excited. You were literally glowing because you were about to marry the love of your life. So let's just start with that. You got married. Yes. Tell us about your wife and how and when was the wedding and all that kind of stuff. Just give us a little life update.
No, man. She and I, my wife's name's Lee. We met in 2017 at a backyard party with one of her friends, and just courted for 6 months, got to know each other, and then by time she met my parents, it's funny. My mom was like, "Listen, if you don't marry this girl, we got people that we can." Try to get to marry this person. So that's when I knew I had to marry her. And so we were engaged in 2018, the day before my 30th birthday. And then we got married in September of 2019. It was amazing. It was actually two kind of weddings, a Nigerian wedding on the Sunday, and then an American wedding on the Monday. So it was really fun. It was colorful. It was beautiful. Lots of great Nigerian food. Let me tell you, in the name of
wow.
So we've really enjoyed it. And then we did a honeymoon in Thailand and Cambodia. And we were so thankful that we could even do that because it was right before everything happened. So that was a blessing.
Yeah. So you've been married since September. Biggest lesson you've learned so far about marriage?
Oh, wow. Communicate extremely well with your spouse and remember their love language. Because the way you speak, you have to speak to their love language. And if you don't do that, you might be saying exactly what you need to say, but they're not hearing it the right way. And the same thing for me. So just speak into their love language because that's what makes them feel loved and secure in the relationship that you're building.
Kevin, if you've learned that already, bro, you're going to be all right. Now, the thing is remembering that when you're ticked off. If you can remember that then, right. Because when you get hot, you be like, I don't care nothing about your love language. Let me tell you about my anger language. This is my anger language. And this is what I need you to hear right now. Man, that's so good, bro. That's so good. I want to go back. I was reading something today, and I didn't know this. You went to Phillips Academy.
I did. Wait, yeah. Phillips Academy.
Yes, a great institution. Two of my cousins went to Phillips. I went to their graduations. I just remember thinking it was the most amazing place, amazing thing. Tell people a little bit about Phillips Academy.
Oh my gosh. Well, Phillips Academy Andover is one of two institutions. There's Phillips Academy Andover, and then there's Exeter. And they're two of the oldest boarding schools in the United States. Andover's in Massachusetts, Exeter's in New Hampshire. And it's an amazing education. Sometimes they say it's feeder schools for, top universities if you want, but it's just the camaraderie of the students. You truly get, I would say, a top, almost like college level education in high school. Everything that you want from college, you get almost in a high school.
Tell us about some of the alumni at Phillips Andover. This is the crazy part, y'all. Listen to this alumni list. Come on, I give you permission to name drop. Do some name dropping right now.
Well, of course, so President Bush, both the senior and junior, went there. There's some ambassadors that went there. Gosh, I mean, who do you want to say? There's some kings and queens of certain countries that have gone there. I mean, the alumni list is extremely illustrious, and it was very. I was very scared when I first stepped onto campus, especially because I came in as a new junior, and that's like the hardest year to come. And everybody's so well adjusted, and they're already friends, but they're also the smartest kids who come from the most incredible backgrounds, knowing 6 languages before the age of 14, like just crazy stuff like that. So I couldn't believe I even was allowed to step foot on that campus.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. So you left there, went to Yale. What did you study at Yale?
I was an East Asian Studies major. So I was studying Chinese and Chinese history, Chinese economics, and I was also a pre-med student.
Wow, that's a long way from the pop group Pentatonix.
100%. It's like a bad story, man.
That's a gap right there. Pre-med. So you wanted tell me about the major pre-med East Asian Studies. What were you trying to do there? What were you thinking?
So the goal that I had was that I thought I wanted to be a doctor that would do missionary work often in places like China and Asia, and have an opportunity to do also cultural diplomacy work because of my music, kind of bridge gaps through my music, because just music is this amazing opportunity. It's a connector. Right. And so I thought I would do a lot of that work, but apparently God had other plans.
Well, first of all, Kevin, let me just say, who are you? That's the craziest thing. I want to be a doctor to do missions work so that I can use my music to bridge gaps and bring nations together. Like, bro, who are your parents? They need awards. They should be writing books. Like, well, where did you get that from, man? That's crazy.
That's so fun, man. Actually, when you speak about them, my parents are some of my greatest inspirations. My dad's from Nigeria, my mom's from Grenada, and coming from those countries, when you come to the United States, you really want to maximize the opportunities here. So they really try to drill in us. If you're going to be here, do the best that you can. My mom always has the phrase, "Be extraordinary and uncommon." Especially when you look like us, you have to never give anybody a reason to judge you. So they really kind of put that work ethic and that drive to succeed, in us from an early age.
So you picked up a little, you speak a foreign language, right?
Yeah, Chinese.
So you picked up a little Chinese over there. So now ain't nothing crazier than seeing a brother with a high top fade, then drop some Chinese on them. Like, they don't see you coming, bro.
People were confused. There are some people like, I don't get it. And it's so cool when you speak, especially in China, because people are truly amazed when you're trying to connect with them with their language, because they know how hard it is. They know that it has tone. So it's a very different way of speaking. But I made so many friends. Let me tell you, I got a lot of people asking me to come to this place, come to that place, meet my mom, meet my daughter. Maybe you could date her, stuff like that. And I like that. I'm good, but it was the craziest thing. But like, I loved it. I spent a year and a half there, and I would never take that time back for anything. It was so amazing.
All right, Kevin, just drop a little something on me. Just drop a little Chinese, and then we'll move it on. I just think.
我的名字是陆佑乐，大陆的陆，保佑的佑，快乐的乐，是我大一大2忘记了，但是我中文老师给我起的这个名字。So basically, I said, "What's up? My name's Kevin." Explained it. It was my first or second year teacher that gave me my name.
Bro, that was the coolest thing I've seen all day. That was crazy, bro.
Hey, you got to fact check it, because listen, when it comes to tongues, they got to be 2 or 3 more people that can be able to, verify. So I could have said absolutely nothing. And
No. I got some people in the comments. They're saying that was amazing. I can verify that. Chinese. So you got some cred. You got street cred, bro. That's cool. That's cool. That is so good. Now tell me about I see Phillips Academy, I see Yale. When does the music begin to shape you, and what's the journey with music?
Sure. I'd always done music growing up. I had seen people like Bill Clinton play the saxophone whenever he was on the Arsenio Hall show during
Yes.
91. And that's when I wanted to play saxophone, and I picked up cello, I picked up beatboxing, and I just did it for fun. It wasn't necessarily something that I wanted to pursue.
Well, first of all, let me cut you off, Kevin. Let me just tell you, you are a trip. The way you just said, I picked up cello in beatboxing. You don't just pick up cello and beatboxing, bro. Like, what in the world? These don't even go together. And you just picked it up. What happened? What were your musical influences? Like, what inspired you to grab that mix?
Sure. Well, the cello, my mom made me do it. No other way to say it. Once again, saxophone, the Bill Clinton, when he was on the Arsenio Hall show. And then piano, what it was that I was about 4 years old, and there was an electric piano that my parents bought for me, and I would just play songs that I would hear on it. And there was one day I was playing House of the Rising Sun by the Animals, and so my dad was about to go to work, and then he stopped and he said, "How are you playing the song?" I said, "I heard it on the piano, Dad," and I played it back for him. And he said, "Oh my goodness!" He like literally called his the people that he was working with, his residency attendings. And he said, "Listen, I can't come to work today. I need to focus on my son." And that's when they decided to put me in. I took piano lessons, cello lessons, and saxophone lessons. So that's kind of how it happened.
Wow. Now, what about the beatboxing? How did that make its way in the mix?
Okay, so I've always just made random sounds coming out of my mouth, just constantly. And my parents would be like, I'd be in the car beatboxing. I didn't know it was beatboxing. And then my mom would be like, "Shut up, I'm trying to drive. This is driving me insane." So I just would always be making these sounds. But then there's this song, I don't know if you know the song by Music Soul Child called Just Friends.
Yes.
Right. So in the beginning, I remember I heard this, it was on BT, and it goes,
yeah.
And I heard that and I was like, what is that? He's singing and beatboxing at the same time. It freaked me out. And that's when I knew, it was like, I want to pursue this more because it could be actually musical. And that's when it's kind of started my journey.
Wow, that's amazing. And who would have thought out of cello, sax, piano, the beatboxing would be the thing that catapults you to be known all across the world?
Man, it's weird and confusing because of all the things that I guess God has blessed me to be able to do, it just was the thing that was least in my vision, to think that it would be the thing that God uses to catapult me into these opportunities. And God's story makes no sense. That's the moral of the story. It just doesn't make sense. But God uses things that are the least of to make those things happen. So I worship him. It's not even my.
That's beautiful.
You know what I mean?
That's beautiful, man. So that's the music. Now tell us about God and faith, and how did that enter the story, and how has that shaped your story?
Oh my gosh, it's the center.
Yeah.
To even start talking about music, I have to go back to God because my parents were always, godly people. They met at Loma Linda University, which is a Adventist medical hospital. So I'd always been in the faith, but I feel like one of the ways it finally came alive to me was when I actually had to make the decision to go into music, because it didn't feel like my decision. What happened was my junior year of college, as I was starting to kind of carve out this unique cello beatboxing combination, which I call cello boxing, a couple of opportunities came. One was to do a competition that Yo-Yo Ma hosted, which I won second place, and he said that my music was inventive and unexpected. And then I also got to perform randomly for KRS-One at Southern Connecticut State University. And he had said, if you start to take this cello and beatboxing thing and popularize it, I think you're going to change the way people see hip hop and classical music. And that's when I started to say, God, I need to start praying, because there are two people from completely opposite sides of the musical spectrum telling me something very similar. And I started to feel this pull to it. And it was very indirect in the sense of, God, are you trying to take me off a path that I've always thought that I was supposed to be on with medicine? This is always what I knew. This is always what I thought. This is something that my parents trained me into because my dad's a doctor, my mom's a nurse. And I'm also a first generation American. if I go into music, this almost feels like I am taking away the dream that my parents had for me, because they know coming to the United States, it's hard enough. And now that I'm going into a career that possibly makes no money, it makes no sense. And that's when I started to pray, but I realized I started to have this tug. So I had to speak to one of my friends who was an MD PhD student who was Nigerian, and he understood my dilemma because he's Nigerian, because he's in the medical field. And I spoke to him during spring break, and I said, I'm weighing all these options. He said, listen, medicine is something that you could always go back to, but you're 20 years old, you're young, you might as well go and have the ball and the time of your life. And if you don't love it, come back. And so I personally needed that plan B, because once I heard that, it was so clear to me. So I got down on my knees in my dorm. There was nobody there because it was spring break. And I sorry, it was the library. I got down on my knees and I said, God, and my dad hates it when I say this, but this is exactly what I said. I think you're absolutely crazy, but I know that you're pulling me to this.
Wow.
I have no idea what I am doing, and I don't know why you're calling me here, because it doesn't make sense, but I trust you. You're going to have to make the path for me because I don't know where to go. And it was so funny. I'll never forget, after that prayer, it was like a can of worms open. I knew I could not go backward. And then it just set me on this path where, God Almighty, I promise you, put things in place in weird timings that I can't even begin to, I couldn't explain, but it just made sense. And I said, okay, I completely trust your path. That's
wow. So what was the strategic move musically to begin to pursue music, to yield that and have that moment of surrender to God? What's the step out after that? Because, Kevin, I think a lot of people are listening to you, and many of them are probably wrestling with the calling and to say yes. But then practically, how do I begin to go after something that I've dreamed on the inside of me and do that? So what were those next steps with that?
Sure. Well, first to answer your question, I think we sometimes have to realize pursuing God is not a linear progression.
Yes.
You could be going this way, that way. It's very, very messy, but that doesn't mean you don't try things. So for me, of course, I didn't know the path of music, but the things I did know, there was YouTube that was around. I knew that I could use that. And I started putting up really, honestly, cheesy videos of me thinking I was so cool, speaking Chinese, doing my cello beatboxing thing, right? And I look back to those things, I was like, Kevin, what in the world? You know what I mean? Like, what were you thinking? But once again, it's an iterative process. You get better. You learn more as you go. You start to do your research. And we have to, as people of God, whenever we decide to make that decision, we have to put we got to put our hand into the plow. We can't just say, well, God's going to do the rest. You get an opportunity to partner with God. God has to partner with you. So if you don't do your part, how can God do his part to his fullest and to the most effective way that he can if you're not doing his part? So that's where I said, okay, I'm just going to continue working on this. And God created an opportunity for me to be in China for 1.5 years. So I was still working on it there and then. And so it's funny that my senior year, my senior spring, as I'm putting these videos on, not really knowing where exactly I'm going, but I'm trying things, I put up this video of me playing this piece called Julio by a guy named Mark Summer. And I'm beatboxing and playing cello to it. And lo and behold, during my senior spring, it goes absolutely viral. And it's not something that I could have made happen. It wasn't one of those things that I put magic into the air and then it happened. I just tried to be faithful with what I knew God had called me to do. And I was like, God, you have to do the rest. But I was trying to be faithful and I was trying to put up videos and I was trying to work on it. And that's how the band found me. And a lot of people say it's luck, and I knew it was providence, but at least I was prepared for the opportunity, you know?
Wow.
I'm talking so much, forgive me. But the last thing I'll say about that being prepared for opportunity, you look at people like David, where God had called him to do something, but that didn't mean he went there immediately. He went back to the pasture and stayed there and worked on his craft like God had kept him to do. It didn't mean that he wasn't going to get the palace. It meant that he still had to prepare. And then when he was ready for the next step, okay, Goliath, he said, listen, I've been preparing for this all my life. I can do this in the name of the Lord. So I feel like we have to remember that if God's called you to do something, you might not have the whole thing figured out like David did, but at least you know the next steps. And if you do what you're supposed to do, you have to trust that God will do the rest.
Yeah.
I did not want to preach today. I was not.
No. That's good. We're gonna take up an offering in a few moments. That's good. We preaching, like we in there. But man, but I think people need to see your preparation. Like you were faithful, you were dedicated, you were mastering your craft, so that when you got the call, you were already ready. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready, as they say. And I think that's a big piece of it. People are praying big prayers, but not doing big preparation, and they'll miss the opportunities. I think that's phenomenal. So Pentatonix calls, video goes viral. They call. What makes you say yes to this random a cappella group that's calling you? Why say yes to them?
It was on a whim, really. Honestly, people don't know this. I actually said no in the beginning. It was not interesting to me. I had gone to schools where a cappella happened a lot, collegiate, Yale, and also Andover had their own a cappella thing. And I thought it was cool, but it wasn't something that I thought I'd ever pursue. But if you want to know the real reason I did it, I thought to myself, you know what? This is a great opportunity to be on TV, meet people. And if I ever go back into medicine, at least I can say that was on my resume. That is the honest to God truth why I did it. And that's why I could not believe when everything happened. I was like, God, we won? Okay, that wasn't part of the plan. Oh, now we got a record? Oh, no, what? It's like, God's like, God fools you all the time. When you think you know what you're doing, then it's like, God's like, ha! You funny. Don't play that game with me. Come on.
Wow.
Oh, God, he was so amazing.
Well, when I see the favor and the blessing on your life, man, I'm praying to God, fool me, Jesus. Fool me. There are the areas where you can fool me anytime, Lord.
Hey,
give me that Kevin fooling blessing. That's what I'm talking about.
No.
So, Kevin, so we gotta let other people ask questions. So,
Sure.
But I'm having a ball asking these questions.
Same.
Tommy, you got two black people. This is a black church service meeting. So I know you scheduled it for an hour, but we started to go 2 hours because you got some brothers in here going. We gonna go at it. But when did tell me about the moment when Pentatonix blew up in your mind and you realized, oh wow, this is the thing. This is like financially, world fame. Like when did your reality shift and you realized it that, oh, okay, I'm buying a baby grand piano? Like when did you know, Mom, Dad, God's done something and it's bigger than what I could even articulate? What was that moment?
You know what, though? That's actually an interesting question because I can't say it's one moment. It was small moments that culminated very, very often. That's what
makes
it was.
Sense. That makes sense.
When we started off, the thing is, people don't realize we had a record got 30 days afterwards, right? So we weren't this thing where we're thinking, oh, after we win the TV show, we're gonna make it. Literally, we had to build this on our own, right? But that's the most beautiful thing. We got to build the brand that we wanted to build without somebody telling us how we were gonna build it. So it was small moments after that. Having our first viral YouTube video, that was somebody that I used to know. Having an album that came out, P-Takes Volume 1, debut number 14, having our first tour to know that people would actually come and sell out. It was all these small moments, but then those small moments just got a little bit bigger where, where we have 10 million views on Daft Punk in 1 week, and we couldn't have imagined that. Then having a record contract with a label after having established our brand. And then from there, the Grammys, meeting Stevie Wonder, performing on the Grammys with Stevie Wonder, giving Ed Sheeran his first Grammy for Song of the Year for Thinking Out Loud. Like those moments just kind of keep going. And so we're just thankful. But it was in succession. So I wasn't like one big moment. It was just trusting God along the way with each moment.
That's how God works, man. That's how God works. Who do you still really want to work with? Who's someone that you hadn't gotten a chance to work with that's on your dream list?
You know what? Scott and I love Jasmine Sullivan. She is no. Oh my gosh. Sorry. We just sung with her. I am so sorry. I kept thinking about like a pop track. We did a track with her on our Christmas album. I'm so sorry. And it was amazing. And I'll never forget it because it was the day before I got married to Lee. I got the mix of it because we were trying to get it ready for our release. And I heard it and oh my gosh, I doggone near cried. I was like, this is amazing. She's the best singer in the world.
Bro, she's phenomenal. Her voice feels like God. It feels like the presence of God. It has that texture of soul and grit and pain. It's just like, oh man, she's amazing. Okay, so we can scratch her off the list.
Yeah, scratch her off the list.
And me and you are performing together tonight, so you can scratch me off the list. So,
hey.
So that dream is already done. Is there anybody else that comes to mind?
I think some pop artists we would love to work with. I mean, Ariana Grande would be amazing. Jessie J is a ridiculous singer. She'd be so dope. There's a woman named Imogen Heap who is this incredible artist that does amazing things with her vocal textures. That she wrote this song called Hide and Seek that was popularized. But she'd be something because of the electronics she does with her voice. We'd be really interested in working with her.
Oh, wow. That's fun. That's fun. All right, Tommy, throw me some questions. I know we got a few folks that want to ask a couple of questions. So you want to toss some to me?
Yep, a couple ones I got, Albert as well as Kevin is, hey, what are experiences, lessons that you learned from being in Asia all those years?
Oh, that's a very good question. You know what? For me, it's about, and I think it's actually very applicable today, humble yourself enough to learn other people's cultures and who they are. And that takes a lot of time. You know, for me to get to know somebody from China and Beijing when I was living there, I had to really study the language because once I understood the language, they were able to feel comfortable with me and then open themselves up. And when they open themselves up to you, then you start to realize at the end of the day, we truly all are human. We all go through the same things. Just because somebody's from another country does not mean they're not thinking about their child and whether they're going to be able to feed them the next day, whether they're going to be able to take them to school. They're really thinking the same type of things that you are. So I think take the time to humble yourself to be able to really listen and learn, not assert any type of judgment or prejudice, really just sit and listen and learn.
Yeah. Kevin, what with the racial unrest that we're experiencing now, you have an interracial marriage.
Yeah.
As a Black man who's traveled the world that knows Chinese, as you look at the news, as you look at George Floyd, man, how do you process that? What's been your journey with that? I just love to hear how you're dealing with that.
Sure. You know what? When it happened, it was, I'm not gonna lie, it was very hard. I gave myself 2 weeks just to not really be on social media, to just try to process everything that was going on. And my wife gave me the time as well, because I wanted to be able to speak to her from a very, very healthy place. And so I'm really glad I got that time, because then I was able to put a statement out just saying, this is not right. And there are so many Black people that have worked tirelessly to be where they are in their lives, right? I think about my parents who have come here, you, Albert, right? People that have worked so tirelessly to be people that people can respect and things like that. But at the end of the day, if I was jogging down the street, they wouldn't know anything about my story. They wouldn't know I went to Andover. They wouldn't know that I'm part of Pentatonix. They see this and they're scared. And they take me out. And that reality really hit home. But then I had to also start thinking, God, how do I deal with this as a person? I stand for justice. I stand for love. And I'm not going to let anger take away the love that I have for people, because I cannot, and I won't, because I know, but that doesn't mean that I can't let my voice be heard. It doesn't mean that, and I say this with love and respect, even Jesus got angry in a way that was righteous at times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You look at him being in the temple and saying, you're making my house a den of thieves.
Yeah.
Injustice going on to my God. I'm not going to let that happen.
Yeah.
So, I think the protesting is necessary because this is a deep injustice that has happened, and people has got to actually listen. You know what I mean? Like, we actually have to pay attention. And it's so beautiful to see people paying attention. And
Yeah.
my wife and I have had some really amazing, beautiful, hard conversations because we want to know, how do we raise biracial children in this place? How do we show children the intersection of how we want them to understand their culture, from her side and then from my side, how the world may see them, but then how does God see them? And then them figure out how are they going to navigate their lives.
Yeah.
It's a thing. And, obviously we don't have kids, so we don't know yet, but it's a conversation we're having today.
That's so good, Kevin. That's so good. All right, Tommy, let's go back to the people. What else do people want to ask?
Yeah. Actually, for both you, Kevin, as well as Albert. Albert, you are entrepreneurial pastor. Kevin, your journey just allows you to do so many different things. How do you guys ever deal with fear when taking on something new and deal with that fear?
Wow. I'll go first.
I think it's important to recognize that fear is still a factor. I am not at a place of spiritual growth or maturity or accomplishment where fear isn't a factor. No, I was scared just today. I'm doing something that I want to jump into, and I'm counting the cost. I'm calling friends. And I had a mentor just say, Albert, do it. Just go for it. Just do it. And I was like, I don't know what about that. He said, just do it. So to be honest, I just do a lot of things afraid. And I wish that being a man of faith that I could tell you, I didn't have any fear. I just trusted God. No, I trust God and I'd be scared in the mug both at the same time. And I just do it afraid and say, God, just meet me. And as God walks with me and as I take leaps after counting the costs and doing the exploration, I'm a learner. I'm always a learner. So I'll ask friends, I'll ask mentors, I'll ask people who've done it before and to get opinions. But once I've done that, I'll sit before God. And if he's calling me to do something, even if I'm afraid, I've just learned with God, it's better to do it afraid than not to do it at all and be disobedient with God. Yeah. Kev, what about you, bro?
I mean, that's it. I mean, I agree with that. One of the things that I like to sometimes do, especially in the mornings, is affirmations. And one of my affirmations is that when I look out in my life when I'm 80, 90 years old, what do I want to say the life I led was?
Yeah.
And that helps me contextualize, what does this one moment mean? Because then I start thinking about Moses. And like you said, like Moses, he did a lot of things afraid. And God had to continuously walk with him in his unbelief, his disbelief. He did that with Abraham. He did that with so many people. But I think there's a grace that God has, knowing we are human. And he's still wanting to work with us. He's still wanting to die for us. He's still wanting to partner with us.
Yeah.
And so that is the most beautiful thing about God and his reality of love. He was like, I will be with you, even if you're afraid. And so
that's good.
I agree with that.
Kev, what was the last thing you did that you were afraid to do? When was the last time you took a leap and that you were scared?
Ooh, you know what? I'll actually tell you two things.
Come on, this is the exclusive, folks. Tommy, this is why you bring in the big interviewers, baby. I get the exclusive. This is an exclusive. Come on, baby.
I'll tell you two things. The first one was I just recently started working on a faith project, just like we were, like you were talking about, things like that. And I was nervous because as an artist that's in the popular mainstream, is it cool for an artist to do things in the faith realm? Is it cool for a pop artist like Pentatonix, one of their members, to do something that intersects with God? Because when you're in the pop music industry, you don't talk about God. You don't talk about Jesus. You don't talk about faith. You don't talk about those things because that will polarize your audience. And so I was nervous and praying, God, I feel like I'm maybe to think about this, start this, because this is such a deep part of who I am, but I don't want to be ostracized from the music community. But if God is the one that brought me here, if God is the one that brought you where you are,
come on.
How can I deny it? And how can I not let God be the one to figure it out? Even like yourself, even though I'm nervous, okay, God, you're going to have to do it because you're the one that brought me here. And I
wow.
So that was one of the ones. The second one is that I've been working on a solo project for probably 5 years. And I remember 5 years ago when I started taking my very first singing lesson, because I didn't sing before. I'd only beatbox. 2015, that was the scariest moment of my life because I thought, oh, you can't. Singing is just something you're born with. No, I have now learned it is something that you can work on and practice like so many people have so that you can speak and sing the message that God's given you to specifically sing and put out into the world. So that's been the most fun thing, and it's been great to have the label behind me as I put this project together.
Wow, now you got me intrigued. That sounds exciting. When do you think?
I'm gonna show you some stuff after all this.
Wow,
Bro.
I know that's going to be exciting. That's going to be exciting. All right, Tommy, what else you got?
Hey, Albert, Kevin, one more follow-up question for you guys. If someone asks, Albert, you as a preacher, Kevin, you as a musician, when did you guys first realize that you found your voice as a preacher and as a musician?
I think I would answer it how Kevin answered earlier. It wasn't a moment, but it was just multiple moments of just victory. But I remember specifically my first sermon, and something happening inside of me where you ever have moments where you stand outside of yourself and you see yourself doing something? It's weird. There's a moment when I'm preaching, but it's so natural and it's so beyond me and my confidence that I almost stand outside of myself and I see God doing something in me. Amen. That was the first time when I had a confidence, not in me, but in a confidence in a Moses-like way. God's speaking through me. God's going to speak for me. God's doing something. All of this just ain't natural. This is divine. So there are some people that'll say, Albert, how do you do that? And I can't really translate or teach some things because, to be honest, God just did it. To be honest, it just came. God just gave me that. That also is why you can't be arrogant or self-righteous or entitled, because deep down, I know the secret. If it had not been for the Lord who was doing this through me, I would not be where I am. So I think that was that initial moment for me where I found confidence that God had called me and God was going to be providing for me.
Hey, but also actually, Albert, can I ask you one? But you also spent a lot of time at camps and retreats early on to refine your voice too, right?
Oh yeah, much like Kevin, a lot of practice, a lot of hours. I absolutely love the craft. I sit and listen to the greats. So I put in hours and hours and hours for sure. I study the craft. I love communication. I love rhetoric. I love the way sentences come together and form. I love to find simplistic ways to say confounding things that enlighten and illuminate. So I love that kind of stuff. I could alliterate all day long because it's amazing and awesome to see God's abundance. Did you see what I did there? Did you see what I did there? So I dropped some alliteration. Come on, we got demonstration of it in his jank. Come on, baby.
No.
I'm ridiculous.
You're
I know. What about you, Kevin? Is there was it much like your other experience, or was there a significant moment?
I would say exactly the same. I mean, I remember I feel like from the moment that I decided to give God my life when it came to his music career, I feel like I have been searching for my voice this whole time, even within Pentatonix. The whole time I was there, I said, I'll be honest, I would say, God, I'm so happy that I'm here for this piece of me, but this is not all of who I am. And so the whole time me practicing, learning about arranging for the band, okay, and then I'm now learning production skills. Okay, now I'm understanding production. Now I'm starting to understand songwriting. Okay, now I'm putting out my first EP with cello and beatboxing. Okay, people are liking it, but they're like, when are you gonna sing? Oh, okay, now I'm realizing that there are some things that I can't just say with the instrument. I have to say it with my voice. And I have a lot of things that I need to say. Okay, let's start to learn how to sing. Okay, now I'm learning how to sing. What kind of things mean the most to me whenever I sing them and speak them? What are the kind of things in the stories that mean the most to me? Okay, and so it's just a complete succession of just understanding slowly over time. And I'll say this, actually, it was last year, November, I was in Japan. I sent the label a song. And it was their enthusiastic response where they said, "You finally get it. You are an artist." And that's when I said, wow, I feel like I'm there. So now I feel like I know where I'm trying to go, why I'm trying to say certain things.
Wow.
And this year, and Corona's, of course, hard, but I also feel like God's given me time to actually work on the voice that I'm trying to have on this personal project. So
wow.
I'm thankful, I'm grateful. I can't think of enough. So it's been good.
Bro, that's beautiful, bro. That's beautiful. Tommy?
Hey, Kevin, what are some of the more difficult struggles you have gone through in your journey as a Christ follower in the area musician?
That's a good question. I think one thing is that I think people sometimes assume they know you because you say you're a Christian in the music industry. I've had a lot of people tell me, oh my gosh, okay, you're a Christian. Does that mean that you don't like your band members because of certain things that they do? And I'm like, what kind of question is that? I love these people. I love them for exactly who they are. It doesn't matter what they do. I walk with them. Things like that. I think sometimes keeping certain disciplines that are important to me. So, for me, Sunset Friday to Sunset Saturday, I do work. So that was hard for the band to get down with, but we've been able to do it now for the past 8 years. And I'm so thankful. In times where I thought they're about to kick me out in the band, I'm going to give you an example. So we were going to open for Kelly Clarkson on tour in 2015. And she does Friday night concerts. So I was like, oh no, here it goes. They're going to kick me out. But because she loved what we did so well, and she loved the uniqueness of what we did, she decided that she would go on stage earlier on Friday night so that I could perform. And then she goes later in the evening on Saturday so I could perform on Saturday as well. And she didn't have to do that. And that was so amazing. But the thing I learned from that is that whatever you do, you have to do it in a unique manner and excellently. Because then when people decide to utilize you in your craft, you can kind of help demand the terms of how you're going to do something. I've never had to do any Grammy stuff on Saturdays because they know I'm not going to be there. It's beautiful that they're allowing me to do that, but it's because of that unique place that I hold in the band that they know there's certain things that they probably couldn't do without me. And then the greater music community knowing that the band just kind of does this. That's something that we'll just have to figure out because we want them on our show or on our platform. So I'm thankful for that, especially as an entrepreneur.
Wow, that's huge, bro. That's huge. That's huge.
Glory to God. It wasn't me. Let me tell you right now, I was scared when I told the band about this, but I'm glad they listened. Oh, I'm so sorry. Wow. Forgive me about that. Turn that off.
Yeah, I think that's Stevie. He just called me and I ignored his call and I think he knew I was on the phone with you. So tell Stevie Wonder we'll call him back.
I will. Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
Stevie. Tommy, what else you got?
Hey, for both of you guys, Albert, I know you're about to speak at the Global Leadership Summit. Kevin, for both of you guys, fame as well as whether it's finances, in terms of social media, all that stuff. How do you both stay grounded with all the, every time you guys tweet something, every time you guys do something on Instagram, you see thousands of different followers, you guys speak on different 1,000-person stages. How do you guys deal with all that?
Man, it's exactly what Albert said. I know this isn't me. The reason I'm here is not anything of my doing. When God puts you in the purpose and plan that He has for your life, there's none other than when you get to the end of it, because you know it's not from yourself, you have to say it's a God story and all the glory goes back to God. So knowing that, I know it's not within myself. I have to give God the glory every single time because the reason I'm here, the things that have happened for me to be here, I couldn't have done those things. I think it's different when people who don't maybe know of God, when they work so hard, there can be a little bit of ego because it's they worked, they did everything, they're the ones. I know I'm not here for my own volition. It's because I followed God that I know it's His story and not mine. And so that's what I keep in mind.
Yeah, and I think, and Kevin, I think you'll attest to this too. Marrying well helps with this as well. Like, I'll sit here, I'm kicking it with my homie Kev from Pentatonix.
Yeah,
when I get back to the house, my mind's gonna say, "Oh, you was kicking it with Kev? Oh, that's sweet. Can you take out the garbage, please?"
100.
That's a wrap. I am humbly carrying the trash downstairs. I am humbly doing that. So she's like, "I'm glad you blowing up. Tell Kev I say hi while you take this trash out." So I think having relationships and having community, real talk, it's a really big deal. You'll be amazed at how people have a sense of influence or notoriety or celebrity that really don't have real friends. They got real fans, but they don't have real friends. So I think the key to perspective, oh, there's my wife right there in the chat. She's in there laughing because she knows it's true. LaRosa Tate, that's my wife. But having real friends, bro, that aren't overly impressed with your craft, that are thankful, obviously, but friends that aren't fans, friends that believe in you, friends that see you for who you are, will keep you grounded. And it's just been the most amazing thing. To be honest, what surprises me is how many folks, how many pastors that pastor tens of thousands of people, but nobody really knows who they are. They are always on. No one has authentic relationships with them. That's scary and that's dangerous. So having good friends, and I agree with everything else that Kevin said as well, I think is a big deal. And having an amazing wife, and I think we both did a great job in that area. Yeah.
Amen. Man, my wife will not let me get away with anything. You are so right with that. She's like, "Oh, Stevie, what? That's nice." Same thing. I gotta go get this food cooked. You want to cook me or you? Because I'm not gonna do it by myself. Like, oh, yes, baby girl.
Right.
I'm so sorry.
Right. Can you talk to Kevin and Stevie Wonder while you go to Target? Because I need a list of things that I need you to get. And we're gonna hook it up. Right? Yo, and you never watch this, yo. And I don't know if you figured out this when you're married or not, because Corona has changed things. But when you go to the grocery store, you never come back with the right stuff. Although it's the stuff they said to get, it is not right. That is not the kind of cheese I buy. That's not the kind of milk we get. You know what kind of milk we get. You see the refrigerator. Babe, do you honestly think I'm looking in the refrigerator, looking at the color of the box? I don't know. I've never brought this kind of milk in my life. I don't know what you were thinking. I don't know. Okay, honey, I'm going back to the grocery store to go get another thing. Going to the grocery store is the most dangerous threat to my marriage. I just know I could come back from this grocery store and our marriage not make it because I got regular cheese and not organic cheese. This could break up a happy 17 years of bliss. Where did it happen? Where did it happen? It was in Target. I didn't know I was the target. I was the target in Target.
I mean, I got nothing to say to that because it's all the truth. I mean, you know what? I think I'll say it like this. My wife doesn't let me go to the store anymore. So there you go. Take it.
So you've already gotten fired from the gig. You're already fired. You're fired.
I will go with her. I will definitely go with her. And she's like, get the things for your stuff, but let me focus on these things that I can get. You know what I mean? Because I know what I want to buy. And I'm like, yes, baby girl. Yes, I love you.
Bro,
you are the queen.
I think you added years to your marriage. You might be married much longer now because you got fired from the grocery store run. I love that.
Let me tell you right now. Hey, wow. No. I'm trying to get myself in that mess. No.
That's so good. All right, Tommy, you got anything else? Because I can go. So you got to tell me when to stop because I'll ask.
Actually, a couple things. Hey, before I ask you one question. Hey, Kevin, Jolania mom says that her daughter, Lorelei, she's 5 years old. It's 10 p.m. where they're at, is just listening to you before she goes to bed and wanted to see if there is any chance you could just say goodnight to her daughter.
Lorelei?
Yeah.
The name? Oh, Hey, Lorelei. I hope you have a great sleep and slumber and wake up refreshed.
Thank you. Hey, Kevin, let me ask you, talk a little bit about Imagine Faith and what you're doing with Imagine Faith.
Oh, 100%. So this is the thing, actually, when I was saying I was scared about it because I didn't know if this was the right thing to do, God, but so what I basically did, me and some friends, we started a Bible study for people of purpose and people of impact. There are so many people in Los Angeles and throughout the world who have gifts, who have talents, and they know they want to use it, but sometimes they don't necessarily know that their gift isn't necessarily who they are, right? There might be a deeper purpose for who they are and why they live. So for us, we started this Bible study for people on Friday nights online on Zoom, so that they can start to deeper to if exploring faith in God is actually helpful in their lives. You know, it introduces people to the idea that God's love can transform you, that his purpose may impact you, and the impact that you're supposed to have can impact the world in such a beautiful way. And so we started that, and it's been so beautiful to see people come and say, I didn't know that God could be like this, and that he actually had a plan and a purpose designed for me, and that I can impact people in my sphere of influence, but I understand there's a different essence and a different light. Rather than just being this person that has success and stuff, there's something that deeper that you can give them besides the ephemeral success that we see in the world. We want to give the love of God through that, their impact. So we just want to help those people the purpose and impact do what they're supposed to do.
Kevin,
that's awesome.
If they want to find more information about this Bible study, where can they go?
Oh, go to, well, you know what? I'll just write it in the chat right now, if that's okay.
Yeah. While he's doing that, Albert, can I ask you, you're speaking at the Leadership Summit in a couple weeks. Can you give us a preview of the talk that you're working on?
Yo, I'm working on, and this is good. I feel like a comedian that needs to go to like small comedy clubs to practice their stuff before they go on a thing. So here, I can test one out. This is one of the things I'm thinking about. I think leaders, oftentimes we look for, even as a church planner, I was looking for the it factor. So when I'm looking for a leader, I'm looking for the it factor. And what I learned as I studied the life of Jacob and how Jacob went from being this manipulator, this trickster, to having an encounter with God. And this encounter with God was so defeating on one hand, but also transformative on the other. He wrestled with God and he lost, but he held on to God and said, I'm not going to let you go until you bless me. And then he won. So with God, there's this dynamic where you got to lose in order to win. And he lost his fight for his own way, but he won the blessing of God, and God blessed him. But watch this. In order for him to overcome him, the man that Jacob was wrestling with, he tapped him on his hip and put his hip out of socket. So although he won with a blessing, he walked away with a limp. And I think it's something about leaders that's got a limp. Leaders that have wrestled with God, that have lost their own battle for their own significance, but won the blessing and the favor of God. I've learned I need to stop looking for the it factor in leaders, and I need to start looking for the limp factor in leaders, because leaders that have limped have had an encounter and an experience with God where they know what it's like to lose their own selfish battles of their own significance, but win the blessing and the favor of God. It is when we've had experiences, encounters with God, where we've received and experienced his hand of blessing, and there's just a natural limp that reminds us that it ain't about our power, it's about God's power. That's a natural limp that reminds us it's not great as me, but it's great as he. There's something about a natural limp. So when I'm looking for leaders, when I'm looking for partners, and when I look in the mirror, I want to look for limping leaders. All right, what y'all think? What y'all think? If we on to something, come on.
I mean, my gosh, like, bye everybody. That was amazing. I gotta leave. Come on, Albert, don't do that to us like that. Come on, man.
Yo, but seriously though, like, think about it. Like it's those encounters with God that leave you broken, that leave you empty. But what we feel is empty, God sees as availability. So there are those moments where we experience his fullness. So I'm committed to say, Lord, keep me a limping leader. Keep me limping. Keep me struggling. Keep me broken so that I can be used by you. If Paul was here, he'd say it was a thorn in his flesh that caused him to limp. David would say it was my lust and my inability that forced a heart of dependency upon God. So I think leaders, if we're not careful, will work hard to try to hide our limp, overcome our limp. But Jesus says, just follow me with the limp. Limping leaders, it's a testimony of my hand and how it's been a part of your life. Yeah.
Man, that is powerful. And the fact, the one thing you said that I love the most is that it keeps you dependent on God. So therefore your ego, because you've been blessed by God, now you have all these things, you got the blessing, but it's not yours to enjoy in the sense of it's for you, it's for others so that they understand who God is and they see that as a testimony of you walking with him so that they want to walk just like oh God, man, come on.
That's good. That's good.
Don't work that hard on us. Come on now. Don't that's too much for me. Come on, brother. Like you can't.
Oh my goodness. I got an idea. We do a track with me preaching and you beatboxing. I think we could do something. I think we on to something, baby. Let's go. Come on, Tommy. Set it up. We hook it up. Come on.
We'll work on it.
Come on now. Let's go.
And Albert, I'm done. The hour is up, and I want to make sure I respect both of your times.
Well, that's good. Kevin, this has been amazing. Can I just do a couple of rapid fire questions on you, Kevin? Just quick answers. What do you pray about a lot that you don't talk about a lot?
Oh, wow. I pray a lot about legacy. And when I say that, I mean that I pray that because of the world that we're in today, I pray that my children know God, love God, desire God with everything they have, because it's a different world, you know? I mean, it's always been crazy, but you know, it makes me nervous. So legacy.
Yeah. What's something that people love that you think is overrated?
You know what? Okay, I used to think this is overrated, and this is maybe going to be the weirdest answer in the world. But I thought, like, the Beverly Hills Housewives, the whole Housewives franchise, I was like, man, it's just trashy TV, blah, 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 blah. But my wife loved it. And I finally, during coronavirus time, sat with her and watched an episode. It's hilarious. I didn't go play. I am not even going to play. These women throw down. They're hilarious.
It's good, yo.
Humanity, which is so funny. So I like, you know what? It's funny. I like it.
No. I be talking smack. I be like, this is ridiculous. Right. And I walk in the room, my wife's watching it. And I mean, I can't even believe you watched this. Wait, now hold on. Rewind that. What'd she say? Now is that Karen? Now that's Nene. And who is Kim? Now what happened with Candace and such and such? Right. And then it'd be next week. And I walk in and she ain't watching. I'm like, you ain't watching your show tonight? It's just like, right. Yeah, well, just put it on and I'm going to act like I'm not watching it. I'm going to act like I'm not watching it.
Exactly, man. Oh, my God. It's crazy. I've started to become a fan. I'm not even going to play.
Yeah, no, I got caught up on the same thing. Well, bro, we will catch up, man. This is a great conversation. I hope the folks that watched and listened were blessed and inspired. Bro, you are a gift to the body of Christ. You, who you are is you are Black excellence, bro. And how you've taken your craft and how you surrendered it to the Father is just absolutely amazing. So we're cheering you on. We're praying for you and can't wait to see what God does, and looking forward to the single with me and you on your album coming out. I cannot wait. My wife will count on it. All right, y'all. Tommy, thank you so much for your team. Together LA, all the sponsors. You guys were amazing. Thank y'all.
Albert, Kevin, thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
See you later, guys.